everyone. Good morning. It's great to see all of you over here. I hope my slides will come out soon. Perfect. There is a Chinese version in simplified Chinese as well, because actually my colleague used those slides. Actually, a part of these slides at the Graphene conference in Shanghai a couple of days ago. But today I will make it very quick and really to the point. So my name is Matej Michalko, and I'm founder and CEO of Decent, which is a blockchain content distribution network. And we have actually done one of the very first ICOs ever. It was in 2016, and we were the top 9 ICO in 2016, and we raised 5,881 bitcoins at that time. And at that time, this was worth about $4.2 million US, and today is worth, I didn't check the exchange rate, but probably something like 50 something million US dollars. But we have done this as a team of 4 people, and we've been really focused to the point to disrupt the world of digital content distribution. So before we get into onto the hands-on experience with real-world use cases on blockchain, because as you may know, actually today the world of blockchain is dominated by a lot of buzz. You know, a lot of companies are basically saying what they are doing, but you know, it did not really go out of the world of POCs, proof of concepts. So even if you look at coin market cap, the cumulative market cap of all the cryptocurrencies is probably 430 billion US dollars as of today. It's very volatile and fluctuating, but very few of the actual coins have real use cases. So as of myself, I started with Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency about 7 years ago as a miner. I organized a couple of conferences. I was in marketing and so on. And basically with Decent, I'm working on this project for the last 3 years. Basically, this is our team in Slovakia. This picture has been taken in January of this year. Currently, we are about 70 people based in Switzerland, Slovakia. Why Slovakia? Because myself, I'm from Slovakia, and in Shanghai, in China, and currently we are setting up in Hong Kong, here in Hong Kong as well. So what are the real-world use cases I'm going to talk about? As you look at the world of content distribution, and this is what we based basically our pitch of the ICO, which raised us more than 5,000 bitcoins in 2016, was basically only this, right? That the world of content distribution is dominated by middlemen, which take a lot of money out of the value chain, out of the equation, right? So imagine you are an ebook author, and basically you want to publish an ebook. So what you do, you go to Amazon, right? This is an obvious choice, at least in Europe or the US. But later on, you basically realize that Amazon takes 40 to 60% in royalties out of you know, your sales. So if you sell your ebooks for $10,000 US, you basically get about half of it. And sometimes it's even worse in another publishers in the game distribution area, music, movies, and so on. So that's why we came out with Decent, which has been presented, and it still is I would say the world's first blockchain content distribution network, creating a direct relationship between the authors, the content, which can be text, music, video, software, or any kind of other digital content, and the consumers. There is a direct relationship. So one author can sell the digital content to many content consumers with very low fees. Basically, it's a peer-to-peer network, decentralized, and the fees are at the level of ½ cent US dollar per transaction. So this is Decent a little bit more in detail. We use off-chain storage. One of the off-chain storage layers is IPFS, which is decentralized. But of course, we support CDNs as well. This is a little bit more technical because in the IPFS there is really no QoS guaranteed, and when we need to sign SLAs, it's a little bit simpler without the IPFS. But we are developing something more reliable. So again, the author publishes the content. The content gets encrypted by the use of advanced cryptography. We currently use Shamir's secret sharing, but I can mention more details afterwards. It gets encrypted, referenced in the blockchain, and basically then the content consumer can see the content in the blockchain. The reference to the content in the blockchain, there is a search, right? And after they find the content, they decide to purchase it. Then the payment is done over blockchain. Again, the transaction cost is currently ½ cent US dollar. The transactions get settled within 5 seconds. So this transaction is 5 seconds, this transaction is 5 seconds, and the content gets decrypted and gets to the content consumer. So the cost for all of this to get the content to the content consumer from the author is ½ cent US dollar, and the cost of the payment is ½ cent US dollar, and it all takes 10 seconds. So this is what Descent is. This is in a nutshell, this is what we built. So there are some comparisons. All of you know Bitcoin. So basically we use a delegated proof of stake, DPoS blockchain. We are a graphene-based chain. So we took basically some source code from BitShares, but we have done a lot of work on that. So there is a lot of innovation, including basically zero knowledge proofs. We are permissionless, and we confidently say we have 2,000 plus transactions per second at the moment, but we are doing some advanced benchmarks, so it would be a little bit more. So the use cases. So one of the real world use cases that we have, and actually our B2B partners are very interested in, is revenue sharing. So imagine you are a music band. You have, let's say, 3 people in there. You have a drummer, a singer, and a guitarist. And basically, what you want to do is you want to sell your music. You produce your music. For example, this is an album or this is an MP3, and basically you want to sell it for some money. Let's say the price of the MP3 is $10 US. So what you basically can do, you can use the smart contract of Descent, which is hard-coded in our blockchain, and you can operate it in a way of, you can access it in a way of basically through an API. So it's not really like Ethereum that we would have kind of a smart contract, programming platform, but we rather have a very well-defined APIs for the use cases. So you can use that, upload your MP3, and set up your shares. For example, the drummer is the main guy in the band, so he should have 40%. The singer, she can have 20%, right? Because he's not as important as the drummer, for instance. And the guitarist is a very important guy, so it's 40%. So imagine the content gets purchased by someone. So at the time of the purchase, the payment is split basically between the 3 people at the blockchain level, right? The cost is ½ cent US dollar, and it's all done within 5 seconds. And 40% goes here, 20% here, 40% here. So, and if you look at it from the point of view of a channel, this guy can be also a channel, right? And can pre-install something on his devices to get, the others incentivized. So this is what we have up and running. This is already available on GitHub, open source, and we are building a couple of interfaces for that. This is our Decor blockchain, our main blockchain. There are video streaming interfaces, audio streaming, digital content, crowdfunding interface, advertising, miner voting. There's a lot of stuff, but I wouldn't go too much into detail because we are strictly limited by time. We have custom tokens. So if you guys heard about ERC20 on Ethereum, this is something we do as well, with the difference that again the transaction settlement is 5 seconds, and the transaction cost is ½ cent US dollar. We have revenue sharing. As I mentioned, this was the payment splitting, decentralized publishing, rating system. This is very important to note. If you guys know the stars on Amazon, right? There's, for example, one ebook it has 4.75 stars out of 5. On Amazon, it's not really transparent, right? You don't really have a way, an independent way of auditing, right, what happened there, whether it is true or not. So here it is. Everything is registered in the blockchain, right? You can see who rated for what, and basically the rating is cumulatively distributed. So if a piece of music has 3.75 stars out of 5, you know it's true and who rated for that. So there are a lot of layers, AI layers and machine learning that can be done on top of that. But our job of Decor blockchain is to register this and to provide basically truth to the public. So there is repricing. We can basically price the content in fiat. There are a lot of artists and a lot of companies that were afraid. Okay, if I want to sell my digital content, should I price it in a cryptocurrency which is volatile? Well, you could, right? But you don't need to. You can price it in fiat, in US dollar, in Hong Kong dollar, in renminbi, in anything. There is no problem with that, and we are enabling this thanks to our hard-coded smart contracts at the core level. So this is fiat pricing, right? So this is one of our early beta versions of website Decent Go, basically which enabled some basic block content distribution. This is some of our demos, but what I wanted to next slide, sorry. Yeah. What I wanted to show is basically this is the rating, right? This is a piece of content, right? This is the author, expiration, created. This is the price in DCT, which is our coin, asset ID, average rating. If you see the average rating here, those are the stars over here. You can see it's transparent. You can kind of click this through, and you can see what happened and when in the blockchain. And you also see the times both. So no one can kind of play with those numbers because it's in a decentralized public blockchain. And this is kind of the second main thing I would like to talk about today. I would say this could be a killer app for our blockchain. This is one of our joint ventures which is focusing on emerging markets. So in emerging markets, and I'm talking about countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, India, some African countries and South American countries. So the fact is that when someone wants to buy a mobile game or a mobile app on his or her Android phone in Indonesia, people kind of face high fees in there. And the reason is that if I want to buy an app in Hong Kong, I can just use my Visa card or my MasterCard, and I literally don't pay, I pay no fee, right, at least from the consumer level. But if I'm in Indonesia, I don't really have a bank account and a card, right, as most people are unbanked. So, what is dominated there are SMS payments, so I can basically purchase the content from some app stores using SMS or using some scratch cards, but the problem is that the fees are up to 70%. And if I'm a game developer, if I'm publishing the app or the game, it takes up to 6 months until the payment is settled, because there are various middlemen, various intermediaries in the chain. So up to 70%, 6 months, and as I mentioned, unbanked users. So this is the current situation within digital content distribution in emerging markets. That's why we came with Alax. We teamed up with Dmobi or Dragonfly, which is a game distribution company from Taiwan and China. And at the moment, they have 100 million MAU, monthly active users, in emerging markets. And what they do, they are processing payments for digital content, and they provide wide label app stores and game stores for mobile phones for brands like Vivo, Oppo, Xiaomi, and so on. Alax, what is Alax? So it's a mobile game distribution platform. So basically you can see it as a Google Play Store competitor. So basically the same as Google Play, right, on your Android phone, but with blockchain payments inside and a blockchain way of distributing digital content. So we already launched this project here in Hong Kong. We are based in Cyberport, and this is actually a great location for this project because of the thanks to the time zone and the location to China and the access to the phone brands. And our strategy basically is to is to get pre-installed on the phones, on brands like Gioni. We have signed LOI with Gioni, which has 45 million shipments per year of devices. So we are going to be pre-installed on their phones since next year. So people will find Alax store directly in their phone. So this is basically our strategy, and at the same time we are working closely with I would call them a former scratch card distributors in emerging markets that are going to replace their scratch cards by our blockchain tokens. And what is very important to note over here is that when someone, a regular user in emerging markets who has only a phone and some cash, comes to a kiosk, right, to buy a scratch card with the high fee, they have a new way now with Alax. Basically, they can just scan the QR code and top up their credit with the low fees our blockchain, Decor blockchain, is enabling. So it's a half a cent US dollar and settlement within 5 seconds. So with Alax, the payment to the game developer can get settled within 5 seconds. And what we are going to provide is basically day +1 or day +2 conversion into fiat through Japan or Korea. We are currently setting this up, so the game developers can cash out in fiat currency, because obviously they are cash flow businesses and they do not want to face volatility at all. Okay, so this is a timeline, but so in a nutshell, basically we launched on 30th of June 2017, so all this is already up and running. So I'm not talking about POCs, but about the real world product that is already working. We have genuine use in businesses, we have independent third-party applications, there are independent companies and teams building on our blockchain, and we have vertical integrations into existing business models. This is Identity. This is one of the projects, but I'm not going to mention it today. This is our API. Everything is available on GitHub, written in C++, and you can find us in Switzerland, Slovakia, China, in Shanghai. We have an office in New York as well, and we will be in Hong Kong this year. Thank you very much for your attention.